What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Early Edge Special NBA Playoffs live preview show. I'm your host, Alan Bell, and we have a great show lined up for you tonight. We're going to break down all three NBA games, break down our best bets, player props, parlays, total spreads, everything, you name it. And I'll tell you what, we're not going to waste any time. Let's get right in and bring in the stars of the show. And gentlemen, looking sharp, prop stars, my man, how we doing?
What's up, AB? Micah, Mikey, great to see you guys again. We've got three great games tonight. I'm feeling pumped up.
Yeah, I'm fired up, man. Micah Roberts, what's up, buddy?
Doing good, man. Let's run it again like we did the other night. That was so much fun. Thank you, guys. I was watching the games, and I was like, we just talked about that. We talked about that. Here it is. It's happening. And so I hope the viewers saw some of that same thing happening because good stuff from Prop Stars and Mikey and yourself, Alan, of course.
I appreciate it. No, I'm with you, man. Like, I love these shows because, you know, it's not as structured, right? Like, we could just sit here and talk like some dudes at the bar, look at them, you know, place our best bets, and it's all of us against the books. You know what I mean? So it's all of us combined and together. M Squared, live from Nashville. How we doing, sir?
Doing well, yeah. I'm glad Micah mentioned that. There's a lot of information you can abstract from these live streams, so definitely pay attention to those. I'm paying attention to the chat early. I don't get to watch it much during the stream, but I look at it early as we come in. I see the comment. I worry about how much Embiid sweats on the ball while shooting free throws. That is that's quite the comment, quite the fun comment there. So maybe we can dive into that later if we have time.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Our man Joe coming through once again, man. He's always good in the chat. You know, and it's funny. I saw a tweet that said, if you're tired of, you know, Joel Embiid shooting a million free throws, quit fouling Joel Embiid, you know, every time he gets the ball, right? So I found that pretty funny. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's get into our best bets of what we have so far, and I'm sure that we'll add some through the show. We've got leans. We've got everything that we're looking at. But as of right now, let's take a look at what we've got here. And, Micah, I'll throw it to you first. You got two plays. What you on, man?
Yeah, I got the over in the Celtics-Nets game because that's what they do. 5 meetings, 5 overs. And we have a total here that started, I saw circa, I think they put up 228.5, immediately bet under, down to 226. So we have a total sitting right at the last time. At the last time, we said they went over 4 straight times. It's 5 straight times now. I mean, I don't like betting on something that hasn't happened yet. And this is what they do. They kind of incite each of their strengths. And Celtics #1 NBA team, but you know, those two guys, Durant and Irving, you can't guard them. You can do #1 defense all you want. They're going to score. They're going to do their thing. And they're going to run. It's going to be another pickup basketball game. So I like that. And I like the bounce back with Toronto. I mean, this is the only spot really. I mean, this is do or die for them, desperation. And I like teams in that spot at home. And we just saw, I think it was 13 days ago, Toronto handled them in Toronto, handled the Sixers pretty good, triple-double out of Sycam. So looking forward to that one. I'm gonna go with the home team here.
You know what? Look, I like those, right? And you talking about Kyrie and KD. It's so fascinating, man, that, you know, you play a player prop on one of the other, right? And sometimes, dude, it's tough to figure out which one's going to have a monster game, but it always seems like one or the other has a monster game. So I feel you on that over for sure. All right, prop stars coming to you, man. One play, prop play. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm fading OG Anunoby. I know this might be a tough pill to swallow considering how good he played. Playoff career high, 26 points in game 2, had 20 points in game 1. But I think this number, 18.5, which is now available, I might add, is just a bit too high for him. He's played very well in this series, is shooting 66% from the field, over 50% from deep. That is not sustainable, in my opinion. He eclipsed this line just one time in his previous 13 regular season games. Obviously, I know we're in the playoffs, but just to give you an idea of how big of a number this is for him, Scotty Barnes, I just read, was ruled out. Gary Trent is in. Both have barely played in this series, but their absences really hasn't created a significant uptick in usage or field goal attempts for OG. He's still just attempting 15 shots per game so far in these 2 games, which is right around his season average of 14.5. He's just been incredibly efficient, which is hard to do, in my opinion, 3 games in a row against this defense as good as this 76er one as well. Both these teams rank in the bottom 5 in pace. I just think, this number's too high for him, and I'm fading my guy, OG.
OG. I like it. That's a great name, man. It really is. Like, I like that name a lot. It's awesome. All right. So we're gonna start and we're gonna jump into all three games. Mike, no picks from you as of yet. You've got a lot of things going on, but would like your initial thoughts on all three games, one game, just before we jump into them. Hit it, man. What you got?
Yep, I'm actually going to have one play here, but it's an alternate line parlay that I'm playing just mostly for fun in this. I've got close to a quarter unit on it now. I'll go ahead and give it. It's the 76ers on an alternate line plus 7.5. I'm taking them all the way up through 2 full possessions the other way. Like them plus 7.5, even if they don't win this game on the road. Brooklyn Nets plus 11.5 on their alternate. I want over 3 full possessions with them. And then the Milwaukee Bucks on the money line. All of those paired together, minus 110 currently on MGM. Pretty fair value for me in this spot. I do expect competitive enough games on the other side. So I'm going to play that. And then lastly, what I really want to mention is the interesting numbers out there on the Brooklyn and Boston game. There are some sportsbooks hanging very different numbers right now at this current moment. FanDuel's got a flat 3 on Boston minus 3, and they're 4.5 on MGM. MGM is apparently desperate for some late Brooklyn Nets money, hanging 4.5 out there right now. Very friendly number. I know a lot of people have been looking for 4s even at some point during the day, but it's interesting to note we're seeing 4.5s out there at some books and 3 at the other. It's a full 1.5. Not something you see terribly often in these kind of markets like this late.
No, not at all, man. You definitely don't. All right, let's jump into the first game here, and let's break it down. And everybody in the chat, drop in your questions that you have, literally anything. If you're looking at a player prop for a specific game, if you're looking at an alternate line, a spread, total, whatever, drop it in, and we're going to go through each of the 3 games. So if you can put it in while we're talking about it, I'll definitely have an easier time getting to it. Put it on the screen. It'll make much more sense. All right, so the first one. All right, we got the Nets and the Celtics. All right, Celtics 3.5-point favorite. Total 226. We've seen some books 225.5, somewhere around there. But yeah, Celtics 3.5-point favorite. Totals there. Micah, you're on the over. All right. So break that down a little bit more. What are you seeing out of the game? And then Mike, coming to you.
It's just going to be another fast-paced game. That's what they do. 5 straight times this game has gone over. It's just one of those things. They just match up very well against each other. The Nets do not play any defense. I do like them a little bit taking the points here. I like them to bounce back a little bit. That was horrible the way Boston let them back in the game and let Kyrie Irving just shoot anytime he wanted. I mean, they defended him. I mean, he's shooting at 32 feet out, but he's still making them. He was so hot, and I can't believe they let that go. A timeout. You got to foul Claxton, send him to the line. He was 1 of 5 in the game. He knew they were going to foul him. They got Ben Simmons on the bench. They were going to Ben Simmons him, and they didn't do it. And then same thing with Drummond. Foul that guy too. He's 58% on the 53. Claxton's 58 on the season. Both of them terrible free throw shooters. Before Irving gets in that rhythm in the fourth quarter, foul the other guys that can't make the shots, force the move, bring Blake Griffin in, bring Aldridge in, whatever. Those guys are on the bench. I don't understand that. These guys were former stars. This is where former stars go to retire. You go to New Jersey and play for the Nets. It's like the 1983 Phillies, right? You bring all the old timers together, put them in, and make a run for a championship. And these guys aren't even playing. So obviously Claxton's more active around the bucket, and that's why he's in there. But the free throws, I was really concerned. I hope we see that tonight at least. Don't let these guys get hot, because Durant and Irving, they're just uncautious, and they're not regular basketball players. These guys are superstars that can do it in any format, any team. They're their own coach. Kyrie Irving already said it last year when Nash was announced as the coach. He goes, we got 3 head coaches already, so he'll fit right in. And that to me was like a disrespectful thing. And you've seen it all along with Nash. Nash isn't really a coach on the team. It's Irving and Durant doing their thing, and they're unstoppable. What I'd like to see the Nets do a little more, Dragic. That's a guy, maybe prop stars, and Mike, you can talk about them, but he was plus 17 and making stuff happen every time he was in there. I think he scored 14 points, efficient. That's a guy I think the Nets could really play a lot more and benefit from it. So I think it's going to be another fast-paced game. I think it's going to be high-scoring, and I could see the Nets winning the game outright. But I do see a little value taking the plus 3.5 or plus 4.5. Is that what out there? Bet MGM. That is so unlike them.
They've moved it to 3.5 in the last 3 minutes since we started talking about it, but it's back to 3.5 now.
They're giving 3 bets away, plus 4.5 to high roller, and they moved it back. So good for them.
Always taking care of the high roller there. All right, M Squared, coming to you. Your thoughts on the game. Also, it might be a little electric against Kyrie Irving tonight after what he said after game 1. What are your thoughts here, man? What do you see out of the game?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be electric against him. I don't know if that helps or hurts Boston. He's definitely someone who performs when emotions are high. That's simply what Kyrie does. The biggest thing I want to talk about with the game, though, really is just Durant played about as bad as he could possibly play in a playoff game in that first game, and they almost stole that game from Boston. Yes, they had to come back to do it, and it was really a lot more of Boston letting them back in the game than them really, really, truly earning it. It's really hard to rely on such elite performances like that from Kyrie, although it is what he does. But Durant, I think the interesting thing is I liked his player prop last time, 29.5. We didn't even get that opportunity here. It's at 30.5 and minus 150 at 30.5 right now, which is very interesting, obviously coming off a game where he failed to hit that. So, no opportunity for me to go invest in it, unfortunately, at this point, but look out for him. It would not shock me at all if this was the actual 40-point game from Kevin Durant. I definitely think he's going to come out chucking again, and I don't expect him to shoot 9 from 24 from the field very often. I also wouldn't be surprised if he gets a few more foul calls after that last game. Like we've seen with a lot of the star players in some of these series already, they are very aggressive hounding them, and then kind of in the next game, they start to get another foul call or two. Like I said, it wouldn't shock me at all if we see Durant picking up and getting some of those foul calls. And if we don't see him getting those foul calls, look for a double technical between him and Marcus Smart tonight.
Ooh, what does that pay?
I know. I'd love to. If someone make a market for me, I'm happy to invest in it.
That's crazy. You know, the one thing with Durant, they had him triple layered, like covered everywhere. The main objective of the Celtics defense, the number one defense, was stop Durant. And I think they did a pretty good job of it. But you're right. They did put their hands all over him. And they should have called a few more fouls on him. So I think that's definitely something to watch tonight.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like they were definitely physical. And, you know, Durant shot 38% from the field, which was his worst in a playoff game since joining the Nets, right? And then you look at what the Celtics did. Look at the numbers here. They out-rebounded the Nets 43-29, so a plus 14 there. They outscored the Nets in the paint 56-32. So plus 24 on that one. So, yeah, props. Coming to you, your thoughts on it. And also, when you get done, we've got a lot of questions in the chat in regards to props, so we're going to jump on those. But, yeah, your thoughts on there, your thoughts on the game as a whole. Break it down, man.
Yeah. Do you guys know how many points KD had in the paint in game 1?
No.
Probably 2.
0.
Yeah.
0 points in the paint from KD. That is not happening again. I think KD is definitely going north of 30 points tonight. I agree with Mikey. Just 9 of 24 is not going to happen again. This guy is way too good offensively. So, yeah, I do like KD to have a big game tonight. I've actually been really impressed with Nicholas Claxton. I know he did miss 5 free throws down the stretch, but he has been trending up, and Andre Drummond has been trending down for Brooklyn. Claxton's been playing more and more minutes. He looks really good, really active near the basket. There's also a big advantage with Robert Williams out of the lineup for Boston, who is their rim protector, their defensive anchor. Claxton had a really good game, in my opinion. If he can hit those free throws, he played 31 minutes to LaMarcus Aldridge's 17 in game 1. I expect something similar again tonight, where Drummond gets the start, and then Claxton ends up closing the game most likely. If he can hit a couple early free throws as well, I definitely think he'll end up closing the game. So I like Nicholas Claxton's PRA prop at 16.5. I just think he has a very big edge inside sans Robert Williams for Boston. You're looking at Grant Williams. You're looking at Daniel Theis. These are guys that, in my opinion, are just overmatched by someone as athletic as Nicholas Claxton. So I like him quite a bit tonight as far as props are concerned on Brooklyn's side.
Nice. Some nuggets here real quick. Then we're going to jump into some prop bet questions that we have. The Nets 10-2-1 against the spread, their last 13 road games. The Nets, the over is hit in the last 5 games against the Celtics. All right, and the Nets 14-5-1 against the spread in their last 20 games against the Celtics. All right, so here are some prop bet questions that I'm going to fire up. And look, I'm going to put a bunch of them here on the screen kind of in succession, and you guys feel free to take the ones that you want and jump on it. And I'll tell you what, M Squared, I'm going to start with you real quick just because let's see. Let me find it here. Because our man Colby asked it directly to you. All right, any interest on Durant over 7.5 free throws? And I know we don't have the juice. If you guys could put the juice in there, that definitely helps. But yeah, Mike,
something like that. The price is definitely going to be the most important part of it. Also, I assume that's made and not attempted. But if it's attempted, I'll lean towards the over. I'm not touching the that's not something I personally would want to attack. I do think he will get a few more foul calls, but some of them may not be in the act of shooting. Some of them may be coming off of that little rub screen. So I don't think that it's something that I want to attack. If you're willing to attack that, I think the bigger edge is just simply playing his points over. Because if he's racking up 10 plus free throws, he's a lock to hit his 30 points.
Gotcha. All right, good answer here. Okay, all right, I'm going to throw some here on the screen, and you guys take what you like. All right, Bruce Brown over 2.5 assists. We've got Jason Tatum and Kyrie Irving to both score over 25 and over 220 points for the game. That is sitting at plus 300 on that one. Let's see. Drummond under 17.5 PRA.
I like that one.
You like that one?
Yeah, I do. Just kind of to piggyback on what I was saying earlier as far as Claxton and Drummond are concerned, that we're seeing a shift in the Nets front court. Drummond is starting the game, but Claxton played 31 minutes to Drummond 17 minutes. Drummond was productive over those 17 minutes, but I'm expecting something similar tonight where Drummond's going to start, and you're asking a lot out of him to pull down, 10 points and 8 or 9 rebounds in 17 minutes. So yeah, if we see something similar as far as the minutes distribution is concerned, I think he's a good bet to go under for. So I really like that quite a bit.
All right. Nice, man. All right. Anybody like Jason Tatum over 5 assists? Any thoughts
take
here?
That.
You like that?
Yeah, I would take that. I think the fast game, he'll have a lot of opportunity, especially on the break. And he's the guy. He's the guy that's got to handle this business. He's the star of the team. And I think he likes the fact that he plays near triple-double level and elevate his game ego in the archives of NBA history. I could see him cherishing that. So, yeah, he had 8 at the last game. So, yeah, let's do it.
Nice. All right. I like that one. Yeah. Props. Go ahead, buddy.
One line I want to put out there, I'd be remiss if I don't bring it up, is Jalen Brown, his PRA line opened at 37.5. I believe he has played, I want to say 62 playoff games. He has not gone over that I think he's been held under that line, I want to say, in 57 or 58 of his career 62 playoff games. So this is a gargantuan number for Jalen Brown. We also saw 4 players on the Celtics score 20-plus points in game one. Awesome. Al Horford, Marcus Smart, obviously Jalen Brown, and Jason Tatum as well. But that is just a monstrous number. I know it's down to 36.5, but I still think it has a lot of value, especially the way that Boston is kind of balanced right now and multiple guys are contributing on the offensive end. That's just a huge number for Jalen Brown.
Yeah, that's massive, man. Absolutely. All right, what are your thoughts here? And we'll jump to the next game after this. Marcus Smart over 25.5 PRA.
I want to jump on that real quick. I like that quite a bit. I've been really impressed by Marcus Smart. Obviously, just won Defensive Player of the Year. Congratulations to Marcus. But yeah, if he gets the minutes, he's going to get there. He's a guy, if he gets minutes, frankly, he's very productive. And we've seen him really kind of develop as a playmaker, averaged a career high in assists this year. Just a hair under 6 per game. Post All-Star break, he was averaging over 7 assists per game. So we've really seen him evolve as a playmaker in that offense. He looks very comfortable, obviously scoring the ball as well. He's got a big advantage as far as Brooklyn's backcourt, not very good defensively either. So I like the matchup for him. He's been very productive, not afraid to shoot, and he's getting the playing time. Boston loves the guy. So yeah, I think he's good. I think it's a good bet to go over that.
I co-sign.
Nice.
I like that.
Like it? All right. Mike is on it too. He likes it. All right. Let's jump into the next game real quick. Well, keep dropping questions that you have in regards to this game, any of the other games.
Hold on, Alan. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me interrupt you here. I don't know if you guys saw or not, but NBA Woj, he's like the best with reporting news, but when he strays far out with his own thoughts, his comments about gambling and inciting irritable fans in the crowd, angry bettors, is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And he came up with that himself, I guess. But the funny thing is they don't even have betting in Massachusetts. So I don't know where that came from. Kyrie Irving's the one that's throwing his fingers around at all the crowd. He's inciting the crowd. That helps him, I think, with his confidence playing against the Celtics. I see him stomping on the center court all the time at the head of the Celtic, whatever. That's fine. But the fans, of course, are going to be upset at you. You've turned yourself in the villain. You're throwing your finger out there. And then you have Woj backing you up saying, oh, it's the gambling. Made no sense at all. Okay, sorry, Alan. Back to you.
No. I'm glad you said it, man. I thought it was very irresponsible. I thought it was a lazy take. Yeah, and for what you just said, first off, they don't have it, in Massachusetts. Second, even if they did, I commented on Twitter. I was like, how many people do you think are live betting at an NBA game? And then, and he specifically said like a second quarter total. How many people do you think are doing this? Like, there might be one. You know what I mean? Like,
nobody
in any of these games.
Nobody in Massachusetts, unless they're betting offshore. So I think this whole point was just disproved immediately.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think we could take a look at alcohol first before we start looking, at sports betting. But yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that one. All right, our second game here, we've got the 76ers at the Raptors. Numbers got on the move a little bit, going back and forth. We've got 76ers -1.5, -2. We've got a total of 216.5 here. Mike, I'll throw it to you again. You're on the Raptors +2, man. Break it down. What are your thoughts? What do you see?
Yeah, Scotty Barnes is a big deal. That's going to be a problem. But, the last time they played 13 days ago, Fred VanVleet didn't play, and they won by 6, I think. And that was the last time that I think the Sixers played on the road. So that's 5 straight road games they have not covered. So this is what I'm hoping for, just the Canadian crowd going crazy with all their stuff. I mean, we've seen it before. They're a really good NBA basketball crowd. And I think it's going to help their team get fired up and get them over the edge. And the desperation part, I love teams in desperate spots at the home. Not quite thinking I'm going to do the same with the Nuggets in their home game tomorrow. That might be dead, but I don't think the Raptors are dead here. And I think they're going to respond at home. Gary Trent, by the way, in that last game they played, 30 points. Sycam had 37 with a triple-double. Let's see, and I'm sure, it's only 2 weeks ago. He knows what he did against that team. He's going to be fired up. He's going to get it done, and VanVleet will be good as well.
Yep, props coming to you, man. You've got, OG Anunoby under 18.5 points, man. Sorry about that. Break it down.
Yeah, so OG's points line opened at 13.5 in game 1. I believe it was 14.5 in game 2. To me, this is a drastic overreaction. This line is just inflated, in my opinion. He's shooting over nearly 67% from the field. That is not sustainable. Even without Gary Trent in the lineup, without Scotty Barnes, we haven't seen an uptick in usage or field goal attempts from OG. He's just been extremely efficient. One thing, if you've watched OG throughout his career, I'm a fan of the guy, but he is prone to just being very inconsistent. One night, he will shoot 9 of 14, score 25 points. The next night, he will shoot 1 for 12 and score 5 points. Very inefficient. So I just think he's had 2 very efficient games, certainly capable of a third, but just from an odds perspective, unlikely considering when we're just looking at him playing this well. I do think he'll get a little bit of extra attention. Also, Gary Trent being back in the lineup should potentially take some shots away from him as well. So yeah, I just think OG at a number this high, 18.5, when he's just been 13.5, 14.5, hovering around there for the past few months. It's just an overreaction, and these are spots that I personally look to fade when guys have been playing above expectations, and as a result, their lines are inflated.
No, it's a good look, man. Absolutely. All right, M Squared, coming to you. A couple notes and nuggets here before we get into it. All right, so teams trailing 0-2 all time in game 3. All right, 57% straight up winning the game. All right, but we got the 76ers, who I believe they have won 4 straight games by double digits. Like, they have been on fire in their last 4. So, yeah, Mike, coming to you, man. What are your thoughts? What do you see? What do you like?
Yeah, it's interesting. So that stat is always fun to look at when it's 57% in the game 3. The majority of the time they're down 0-2 because they played the first 2 games of the series on the road. So you have to go basically look at what percentage of games are won by the home team, and then you'll see that those numbers get a lot closer. So that we do have a lot of that in play here, but at the start, I didn't get it on the recap, but I played an alternative line in my little parlay here where I'm taking the Sixers plus 7.5. You mentioned their big wins, the double-digit wins pulling away. I think the Raptors are very live. I expect a very competitive game here. Would not shock me at all for the Raptors to win this one outright, even by 2 full possessions. But the scenario where they're winning by double digits, I personally don't see that one very often here. I expect them to win a really hard-fought, tough game that comes down to the final possession or 2 here. So that's what I'm seeing out of the game. I do think that they're very live. It's, you don't need me to sit here and tell you it's a must-win game for them. They've got to win this game. If not, they're definitely toast in the series, in my opinion. So other general thoughts on the game. I like where Alex is at with the Anunoby under. So one thing we like to look at when we look at players like that, you look at some of his last games. He shot 10 of 14 from the field when he scored his 26 points. He has shot a total of 4 free throws in the 2 games. He's not someone getting the foul shots, really elevating the floor of his points performances. It's all coming down to whether he's shooting 60+% from the field. Not something you generally want to bet on from someone who's not a number 1 or 2 option on a team, even in a beat up state. So yeah, I like Alex's play quite a bit there.
Nice. Okay. All right. A couple questions in the chat. And again, I'm going to just kind of go through these quickly. If it's something that you like, say it. And if you want to expand upon it, feel free, have at it. All right. So Tobias Harris over 24.5 PRA minus 120. Pascal Siakam over 5.5 assists. We've got Gary Trent under 13.5 points tonight. Let's see. What else do we have? We got a fun parlay here. 5-team parlay. Giannis, 25+ points, 10+ rebounds. Embiid, 25+ points, 10+ rebounds. Durant, 25+ points, minus 105. Any thoughts on that or any of the other bets that were put up there? Yeah.
I exercised some caution on Tobias Harris. So Mike and I kind of broke down as far as OG performing above expectations. We're sort of seeing that with Tobias Harris as well as far as Philadelphia is concerned. He's hitting a bunch of open shots. That is somewhat of the James Harden effect. He does create a lot of corner threes, open looks when he's got the ball in his hands, and Tobias has certainly been knocking them down, but he's been shooting at a very high clip. He's been very efficient, and he is someone that's had consistency woes, especially sort of integrating into the offense once James Harden was acquired by Philadelphia. So as good as Tobias has looked, this one is a little different, and the line didn't get jacked up the same way that OG did, but I would just tread a little bit cautiously with Tobias. Just as soon as he basically, isn't shooting 60% or better, he's going to go under this total. So for me, it's a stay away. I just wanted to caution anyone who is jumping on Tobias.
Yeah, no, that's great info, man. Absolutely great info. Appreciate
that.
Yeah,
how about Siakam over 5 assists? I could get with that. I could be all right with that. They shot horribly in the last game at Philadelphia, and he had 5 assists. Just think if they shot anywhere close to what Philly did at home in their last game, 52%. I think 49% from 3. They went to the line 30 times. Toronto only went to the line 12 times. There's your ball game right there. That's not going to happen in Toronto, I don't think. I think they're going to get more calls. I mean, I hate to say that the NBA refs do that, but they get into the game and the crowd and they follow suit, and they just, they're just part of the home team sometimes. And especially a desperation game like this. Yeah, I could see them get some calls, but Siakam will be heavily involved again, as he always is, and should get over 5 assists for sure.
I also think it'll benefit Siakam too, being at home when the assists are graded by the Toronto score people as well. So that could potentially benefit him as little more. They're more liberal to record assists, playing at home. Plus, he's just such a usage monster. The ball just runs through his hands so much that it does not take a lot for him to get 5 assists. So I actually like that prop a bit as well. But this game, in my opinion, both teams have been shooting the ball extremely well throughout the series, and we're seeing a low total despite these teams having scored a lot in the previous 2 games. I do think both are due to regress to the mean a little bit and come back down to earth.
Yeah, I was just about to say, right? And like not holding anybody to like an official pick or anything like that, just your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, 216.5 seems like a very low total, for exactly what you just said. Did anybody have any super leans on that? Your thoughts. And we might have just covered it kind of with your breakdowns here, but anybody have any thoughts in regards to it?
I like the over on the total. You're talking about the total on the game?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd go over. I think it'll be a fast game.
Yeah. Okay.
Led by the Raps.
Yeah. So this one is fascinating to me, and you can tell kind of why the numbers open where they do for the most part. So everyone's using very similar ratings, looking at very similar things, right? And if you look at general pace of play metrics, these 2 teams are bottom 6 teams in the NBA in terms of pace of play during the regular season. But for whatever reason, when they match up with each other, the pace of play definitely increases above what a projected pace of play would be when you're looking at 2 teams that are averaging 98 possessions a game. They're down near the bottom of the league, but these games between them, they play like a top 7, top 8 kind of deal, and you're generating an extra 5 possessions, on each side, and that makes a huge deal in this league when you with the 3-point shot. So that's the source of it. Frankly, that's why the numbers open so low. So like these were opening at 213, 214s. Market kind of moves them up into that range that feels appropriate, but I think the true numbers here, when the game is competitive, the full distance, the true numbers here are closer to 219, 220.
All right. Props. Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, just somewhat off topic, just wanted to point out, no Matisse Thybulle tonight for 76ers. Danny Green should once again flirt with 35-plus minutes for Philadelphia. He's quietly had a really nice opening 2 games. Had a dunk. I didn't know Danny Green could still get up there in game 2. I was really impressed by that. But, Danny Green against his former team, Raptors, looks a little bit rejuvenated for Philadelphia. If he continues to play well, considering just how many weapons are on the 76ers, I feel like they've got a great shot to win tonight.
Nice. All right. I like it. All right. Quick question for you, Props, or anybody, either the other 2 guys. Pascal over 1.5 blocks and steals, minus 150. Super juice there, but 1.5 seems like a pretty low number.
It does, especially for someone as active as him. I prefer him. So I like Pascal, especially his stocks or steals plus blocks, when he's playing primarily at center. I'm not sure without Barnes in the lineup how many minutes he'll get at center, or if they're going to play a lot with him and Precious or whatever lineup Nick Nurse comes out with. But if he's going to play at center at least 20, 25 minutes tonight, I do think that prop has some value, but at minus 150, I'd personally stay away. I'd rather find something over 2.5 that's like plus 115.
Mike?
So in this situation, these are ones that they're enticing. He obviously has the capability of racking this up in the first quarter of this game. I generally stay away from them in the playoff games like this, just because a lot of the blocks and steals from him come from in like regular season situations where teams aren't necessarily valuing the possession of the basketball as highly as they are here, especially in a tighter competitive game. If he's not racking these up early with the Sixers being on the road, I would expect them to slow things down at times a little bit more, at least play with somewhat more control. So when you're having to lay the minus 150 juice on it in this spot, it's just a situation that I'd really rather avoid. If you're looking for his prop, I like the guys have talked about. I think Siakam's assist prop at 5 is definitely the best way to go on this one with the home court scoring, similar to what we talked about a little bit with Jason Tatum in that Boston game at 5 on the home floor as well.
Nice. All right, let's jump into the last game here, then we'll get back to questions in the chat. All right, we got the Bulls and the Bucks. Bucks 10-point favorite, total of 225. Mike, I'm gonna throw it to you first. What are your thoughts here? What do you see out of the game?
Well, my first thoughts are that vomit of a box score in that first game. What the hell is this? This is the worst looking box score I've ever seen. I mean, I'm looking at the shots, 21 turnovers from the Bucks, lots of boards because there were so many bricks being thrown up there. The shooting by the Bulls, horrendous, 32%, all their stars, Vucevic 9 of 27, DeRozan 9 of 25. Levine 6 of 19. That is horrendous. I mean, they got their money's worth. They chucked the ball up, lots of bricks, lots of rebounds, and basically they got the cover. You got to give them credit. The Bucks couldn't hit their free throws again, so that's another thing you got to think about here. Come to free throws, I actually think the Bucks know that they let down, not necessarily bettors, let themselves down in that game, and I think they come out strong. They get a 15, 17-point win in this game. Probably goes over back to that trend, but that game one box score, absolutely horrendous. One of the worst I've ever seen.
It was crazy, right? Like the Bulls trailed by 3 with 15 seconds left. All right. So obviously the Bucks didn't cover. The total was 230. They missed that by 51 points. It was craziness. Mike, yeah, what are your thoughts, man? What do you got?
I just watch for the. I made a lot of money live betting that game. With they hung some lines down there. Milwaukee was all the way down to minus 110 at that point. It was absolutely incredible. They fell behind by 4 points at one point in that spot, but with Giannis returning, it was such a free money spot. So as far as the game in general,
what were you looking for? Like what were you hitting on? For
those just the fact that they fell behind with Giannis off the floor, having only had Giannis on the floor for I believe 32 minutes total entering that point mid fourth quarter. One of those situations where you knew once he was coming back in the game, he wasn't sitting down again. And they're just drastically better. So I think that the only real path to a victory for Chicago here is Giannis has to be in foul trouble. And he can do that. A lot of it comes down to the way the game is called, because you can pretty much guarantee any meaningful game for Giannis that there's going to be a minimum of 3 player possession foul calls in the game. Whether it's a block charge, you're going to get that in a competitive game like this on Giannis probably 3 times, right? And depends on which way the call goes, whether they're offensive fouls that end in a turnover or end in an and one with a free throw line trip. He's like a true outcome player in baseball. We're striking out or we're hitting home runs. That's the scenario with him 3 times a game. And it has such massive consequences depending on which foul number it is and what time it occurs in the game. So that's what I'm looking for mostly when I'm live betting in that spot. But as far as the Bulls winning and frankly, even in my opinion, covering, they're going to need a timely foul or 2 on Giannis that takes him off the floor for a 3 to 4 minute stretch where he would normally be on the floor.
Yeah. Props coming to you here, but, some nuggets and notes on that, specifically to Giannis, of exactly what M Squared was just saying. Look, Giannis has won 14 straight games versus the Bulls, averaging 28.6 points per game in that stretch. All right. The Bucks have won. They're 17-1 in their past 18 games against the Bulls. And the one game was when Giannis didn't play. Right. So it goes to show like how much Giannis has meant in these games. The Bucks 12-6 against the spread in their last 18 against Chicago. So, props though to you, man. What are your thoughts on the game? Players, props, anything? What do you got?
Yeah, these teams are just heading in 2 opposite directions. In the first half of the season, the Bulls were one of the best stories in NBA. I believe at one point they were the number 1 seed in the East, and then we've just seen them tail spinning since then. They have just been a complete disaster post All-Star break. And then as far as the Bucks are concerned, they were just trying to get through the regular season with everyone healthy and intact. Mission accomplished. Obviously, they're playing for the playoffs. Seeding wasn't as important to them. And this Bucks team, in my opinion, is just so many levels above what we're seeing from the Bulls right now, who are just a complete disaster. Just so much ISO offense, just handing the ball to Levine and DeRozan, expecting them to go 1-on-5 when they have the ball. Just no fluidity there, just lacking really competent point guard play. In my opinion, just watching this Bulls team is very difficult right now. So I just think this is such a mismatch. If the Bucks show up motivated, which they have been throughout the playoffs historically over the past few years, this game isn't going to be competitive.
All right, there we go. All right, let's answer some questions here in the chat. And I'm going to start with my favorite one. All right. Our man, Vucevic, over 1.5 threes. Anybody feeling this one tonight?
He shot 10 the last game. He made 2 of them. So I mean, I think he thinks he's on fire or something. I mean, why not take a shot with it?
So the Bucks drop coverage is daring him to shoot a lot of threes. The Bucks pack the paint and they allow opposing front court players a lot of open shots. Just schematically, that's what they want. Basically, is the opposing teams. You live with Vucevic taking 10 threes. So I honestly don't dislike that because the shots will be there. A lot of open looks will be there for Vucevic. I don't know if he's going to attempt 10, but if I knew he were going to attempt 10, I would be all over that prop, in my opinion. And I do think the opportunities will be there. Does he take them or pass on them? I'm not sure, considering how poorly he shot in game one, but the looks will be there.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they defend him the same way, so I do kind of like this play. I think he shoots a minimum of 6 in the game. You look at Giannis rebound numbers also, and you think like it's just because it's a playoff game. Some of it is related to this strategy here of letting Vucevic play so far from the basket and chuck threes like that. When you move Vucevic, who's not a threat really on the offensive glass, to be honest, when you move him that far from the basket, Giannis is cleaning up every single rebound, which is why you see him throwing up 16, 17 rebounds in a game where he probably easily could have had 20 rebounds in that game. So I personally think that there's actually some correlation, even though you're looking for made shots on this one. I think there's some correlation in this play and Giannis is over on the rebounds.
Well, I was just about to say, Colby put it in the chat. All right. Love Giannis over 12.5 rebounds tonight. I don't have the juice on that one of exactly what it is. Obviously the price, has something to do with it.
Last comment on that though, while I just mentioned that 12.5 is a gettable number, I would definitely stop if it was 13.5, trying to get 14. Because there's still the scenario that we haven't talked about much here, and that scenario is the Bucks absolutely roll them today, and Giannis plays 28 minutes in this game. That is very, very much on the table, in my opinion.
So, all right, looking at Caesars right now. Yeah, props. Go ahead 1 second. Looking at Caesars right now, it's actually moved to 13.5. The over 13.5 is -105. Under 13.5, -125. So pretty much exactly what you just said.
Yeah, that number is super enticing to me. This game has significant blowout risk, and if you can manage Giannis's minutes in the playoffs, the Bucks are careful. He's not playing 40 minutes like you have KD and Kyrie and these other guys. Even in a competitive game, he's going to be somewhere around 36 to 38 minutes. So the Bucks would love to roll on the Bulls, which they're more than capable of, and keep Giannis under 30 minutes. That would be, a win for them in a game that they're going to win, in my opinion. So, yeah, that is even though the number is super enticing, he's more than capable of pulling down 14 rebounds in 3 quarters, even 1/2. But just knowing that there is a pretty wide range of outcomes where he's not playing fourth quarter minutes, that keeps me from, making the play personally or endorsing it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's take a couple more questions. Then we're going to recap our best bets again. Then we're going to get out of here because the games are about to start here in just about 15 minutes or so. Want to make sure everybody has enough time. Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention it too. If you go back and look at the games against Chicago, it's a very similar trend. He did have 17 rebounds in the regular season matchup, the last one there. So it's definitely somewhat a product of the defensive scheme that they're running against this Bulls lineup, and just the product that Vucevic not being a threat on the offensive glass in this particular matchup.
Nice. Good info there. All right. First question here. Christopher Pappas asks, and look, any of you guys feel free to jump on it. My man, Fred VanVleet. All right. The other night I took Mad Max's parlay, right? 5 plus 3s, 35 or more points. All right. The first quarter came to an end. He had 4 threes and 17 points. I was like, we are cruising to this like plus 2,900 parlay. Come to find out, after halftime, my man didn't put up any shots whatsoever. All right, so Fred VanVleet, over 18.5 points. I don't have the juice in front of me. I'll get that in a second, but just your thoughts here on his points tonight. Anybody?
I like that prop. It was the minutes are there. The volume was there. Like you said, he was 4 or 5 from 3. Then I want to say he ended the game 4 of 13 from 3. Looks like he ran out of gas. He played just absolutely monster minutes and probably needed a break down the stretch that Toronto just couldn't really afford to give him. I don't think he's going to shoot this poorly again. I also think it'll help playing at home for him. So yeah, I can get behind 18.5. I think that's a low enough number where certainly attainable, and I expect a better performance out of Fred tonight.
Yeah, it looks like on Caesars it's creeping to 20.5, right? So
I was gonna say, at 18.5, if you don't like him to hit that number, I would not bet on the Raptors, and I would not bet the over in the game because he's going to need to hit 20 plus points in this game for them to win, in my opinion. And if he's not hitting 20 points, they're likely not winning. And if they're likely not winning, this thing's not going over.
Yeah, that's an excellent point right there. All right, here's an interesting one, right? All right, so props, I'll throw it to you. Tyrese Maxey minus 135 versus OG Anunoby. It's 105 head-to-head, more points at DraftKings. And you're on the under 18.5, right?
I'm on the under. I personally think Tyrese Maxey, you're watching someone who's ascending into stardom. I'm not ready to call him a superstar quite yet, but to me, Maxey is a potential 20 points per game scorer. Looks phenomenal in my opinion. He's able to create offense where OG is basically just kind of hitting open shots if he's getting open shots. So yeah, I think Maxey is a much more reliable shot creator. Just has a kind of better offensive arsenal, able to do more things on the court. I would totally rather have Maxey as far as him and OG head to head.
Nice. All right, let's go ahead and hit our best bets. Yeah, Nets and Celtics, it's already started. I believe the Nets are up 7-0 right now, about 10 minutes left there in the first quarter. So let's hit our best bets, and we'll get out of here. And thank you, everybody, seriously, for tuning in. We really do appreciate you every single time. So I'll throw these up on the screen. If you guys can hit those quick. Micah, obviously, Nets-Celtics over 226. And hit the Raptors, man. What do you got?
Yep. Looking forward to it.
There we go. All right, props. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, I've got OG Anunoby under 18.5 points. I'm sure you guys have heard me give the spiel. I just think this number is too big. It's going to require him to be extremely efficient. In my opinion, this number is just overly inflated based on him being very efficient. We're not seeing an uptick in usage and shot attempts, just him scorching hot, which is not sustainable in my opinion. That's why I really like fading him under 18.5 points.
There we go. And Mike, what was your alternative line parlay again?
The alt line parlay that I have is the Brooklyn Nets plus 11.5, the Philadelphia 76ers plus 7.5, and the Milwaukee Bucks money line. I did have it at minus 110, but they did move it to minus 115 on me by the time I got it locked in.
Well, some breaking news here really quickly. John Rothstein here at CBS Sports reporting that Jay Wright expected to step down at Villanova.
No.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. Any thoughts? I mean, is he looking at an NBA job or is he just stepping away? I don't know enough about Jay Wright.
I'm a huge Jay Wright fan and Villanova fan, being from Philadelphia. So that is, I was hoping Jay Wright would be the next Coach K as far as someone who lasted their entire career at Nova. So this is definitely disappointing news to me. He's turned down multiple NBA jobs. I know when I was living in Philadelphia, he was offered the 76ers head coaching job on more than one occasion, I want to say. So I'd be surprised if he was turning or stepping away in order to coach in the NBA, especially considering I don't believe there's any open jobs at the moment. Are there? I guess the Lakers job is open, but I don't know, like premier jobs or jobs that, he could potentially leave, Villanova for. But definitely disappointing to hear.
Wow. Yeah, it's wild, man. Wild. All right. Before we get out of here, we always take a couple seconds here, what everybody is looking at for tonight, maybe even tomorrow, the NBA playoffs, M squared. I'll start with you. What are your thoughts, buddy?
I'm looking forward to this, all the games really, and hitting this parlay that I've got in. But I really want to see what the Brooklyn Nets do in this game, because there were two drastically different outcomes that could have happened in that first game. They could have gotten blown out. They didn't. Came back. They could have won. I'd like to see them win this game, because who doesn't want 7 games of Durant, Tatum, these guys? Let's get 7 games in that one at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Micah?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. We got 2 series that are tied at 1-1, and I'm interested to see how the road teams fare in that, with Dallas and Memphis coming off a big win. So it'll be a heat matchup.
Yeah, and it appears Jay Wright will be retiring.
Yeah. Oh,
what?
Yeah, wild. I don't know. So we'll find out more about on that. Yeah, Prop Stars, what do you got, buddy?
I'm looking forward to seeing if Bruce Brown breaks Will Chamberlain's record tonight. He's already got 9 points in 2 minutes into the first quarter, on pace to potentially score over 100 points tonight. Interested to see if Bruce Brown can get it done.
I was about to ask, like, which record are you talking about? 100 points. You know what? Hey, it's wild, man. Everybody knows. All right. So, everybody, thank you so much again for tuning in. We really do appreciate you. Hope we got to all of your questions. Hope we got some best bets up there for you. And let's cash those. We'll be live tomorrow at normal time, 10 a.m. Eastern, to break down Thursday's best bets. But for all my guys here, for Coach, who you know it's hurting him to not be here with you guys, he will be back. You'll see him soon. We appreciate you. Let's cash some tickets. Have a good night.